Hello everyone and welcome to my review of Blue Diamond Stakes Day. It was a good day yesterday with 3 Group 1s. Mr. Brightside, the king of the Caulfield 1400 metre scene, winning. Devil Knight rewriting history, becoming the first horse in at least 16 years to win with just one start before its run in the Blue Diamond. And Jimmy Star takes out the Oakleigh Plate for Kieran Maher and Ethan Brown. This is how some of the races ranked as the quality of racing got better and the track started to firm up. The time started getting better, as what usually happens on a race day. The number 1 ranking race was the last race, Deny Knowledge. They went frantic early in front at Deny Knowledge pace, and that's why the time was so good, and that's why it ranked first. But this is just pure time ratings, nothing else put into it besides the time. So it's not accurate, but it's a general guide as to how well the race has gone. Let's do a review of all the stakes races. But before we do, a little bit about how the track played. So there was only actually 2 horses for the whole day that settled outside the top 2 in run and won. And those 2 were Winner's Edge, who settled 4th, and Jimmy Star, who settled 2nd last. Everything else settled in the top 2, which was very interesting because a lot of people were looking for horses with cover yesterday for protection from that northerly wind, but it ended up probably not being as much of a factor as what many people thought. So let's get on with the review. We'll start with the Blue Diamond Stakes, taken out by Devil Knight, beating Tentris and Tycoon Star. I've got the googly eyes and the third place getter mixed around there. So the third place getter is with the white hat and the white blinkers, and the horse to keep an eye on is Extractor, the blue and white stripes. Just had no luck, a complete forgive run. They've gone a second outside standard time for the class here. Devil Knight settled in the first 2, which is where he needed to be pretty much throughout the whole day, and it managed to win. A lot of merit goes to Tycoon Star for running on as well as it did from an impossible position. Mark Zara noting after the race, if it had drawn a better barrier, it might have won. Tentris was really good off the week, back up, almost won, but Devil Knight defies history, and Devil Knight was actually really good through the line. Tycoon Star runs the fastest last 600 and 400 of the race. Tentris, once it got warmed up and firing, the fastest last 200 metres. So they've gone really slow early, they've dashed home, and that's what suited the on-pace horses especially, so even more merit goes to Devil Knight. A bit to work out in the Steward's report. Field of Play, the favourite. Rider Blake Shin said that the horse was unsettled pre-race and didn't handle the hot conditions. It was pretty hot yesterday at Caulfield, so that's a genuine excuse in my opinion. Palm Angel may have just come to the end of its preparation. That's understandable. It's been racing since December. Miss Celine was also a forgive run. It raced 4 wide, no cover throughout, so it was a forgive run. I thought also Tempted was one. It's not in the Steward's report. It is in the Steward's report, Tempted. Held up from the 300 to the 100 metres. It was another forgive run. Don't know how close it would have gone or if it would have won, but definitely would have finished closer, Tempted. That was the Blue Diamond Stakes. The Futurity Stakes was race number 7, taken out by Mr. Brightside, defeating a very unlucky Tom Kitten, who probably should have won, and I Wish I Win, who ran a good race. They've gone a quarter of a second inside standard time for the class here, especially the last 400 metres was very good. Private Life slowed it down the side, and that's probably how Mr. Brightside filled up the lungs and was able to kick away. Still very good win from Mr. Brightside. Gritty win. I Wish I Win was good first up, conceding the race fitness to Mr. Brightside. It's definitely back, and Tom Kitten weaved through the pack and almost won, coming home in the fastest last 600, 400 and 200 of the race. And if it had got out earlier and started building momentum earlier, probably wins and knocks a lot of people out of the quaddie. But nothing can be taken away from Mr. Brightside. He's an absolute star. He does it time and time again, and he's just a really good horse, as he has been for quite a few years now. And Tom Kitten and I Wish I Win made it a very interesting finish. So out of the Steward's report, nothing really too important to look at. Evaporate race 3 wide without cover. I heard it's going to New Zealand, so that'll be interesting to see how it goes there. Pericles pulled up with EIPH, so that's the excuse for that horse. Yeah, definitely affects horses when they have EIPH. And apart from that, not too much else. Pinstriped, I think Ben Allen said after the race it needs blinkers so he can improve next start as well. The Oakleigh Plate was taken out by Jimmy Star, looping pretty much the whole field to beat She's Bulletproof, Ray Magnerio, and the horse that I've highlighted, the pink with the blue sleeves, head wall, gets held up and probably would have gone pretty close. They've pretty much gone bang on standard time for the class. They've zipped home in half a second quicker than standard time. Jimmy Star still held up here and sprints really, really well. Yeah, Headwell has no luck. I think Prairie Flower in the blue with the green sash on the inside as well had no luck. I think the leading horses that dropped out, I speak of Golden Boom and Insurrection, have to be forgiven. They just led too quick of a pace into that win. Jimmy Stark runs the fastest last 600 of the day, fastest last 200 of the day. The fastest last 400 of the day actually belonged to Miss Aria in race number 1, but we're not going to look at that because it wasn't a stakes race. But what a sprinting performance from Jimmy Star. He's always teased of being a really good horse, and now he's got that Group 1 on his CV. I Am Me, I thought was another one to forgive. I thought she was just too close to that hot speed with the big weight. So I think we can forgive that horse and follow it next start. A lot of horses that you can see that were held up. Arabian Summer raced wide without cover. Not too sure what happened with Estriella. I thought it was a decent return from Espionage as well in the Oakleigh Plate. Race 5, the Group 2 Angus Armanasco Stakes. First 3 in run with the first 3 home, and Treasure the Moment, the Oaks winner, was able to take it out. They've gone half a second inside standard time for the class here, and they've come home inside standard time, 800 to the 400 and the last 400. Tudan Lizzie went into, well, not a slow pace, it was moderate. It gave itself every chance and simply wasn't good enough. Treasure the Moment went straight past it and was just way too good for it, running the fastest last 600 of the race. Jenny the Fox up along the inside ran the fastest last 400 and 200 of the race. It was really good in defeat. Forgive Qatar's Choice in the Qatar colours running down the outside, and also Benazil in the red at the back. They just weren't suited by the race shape at all. It was really suited to those horses up on speed. And yeah, these two horses were just out of contention, settling second last and last. Especially Benazil because it was first up. Nothing too important to look at in the steward's report. But yeah, Qatar's Choice, forgive. Benazil, definitely a forgive because it was first up. It's always a forgive, isn't it, Benazil, in every one of its races. But definitely be following it next start, hopefully onto a bigger track like Flemington or something where it can wind up. That was my look at the Angus Armanasco. Race 10, the Victoria Gold Cup was taken out by Deny Knowledge. They've run 2 seconds inside standard time here for the class. 3 seconds inside standard time to the 800 metres. And they've come home a second outside standard time the last 400. This is what happens when you've got a horse like Deny Knowledge that goes at its own pace on a good 3 at Caulfield late in the day. This is where these times are a little bit skewed. Torrenzino runs home in the fastest last 600, 400 and 200 of the race. It was clearly doing the best work from the back. Deny Knowledge, another case of a classy horse first up at a half suitable distance. Well, sorry, not half suitable. It's right up its alley, the 2,000 metres. That's the formula that seems to be working, at least for the early part of the autumn. I thought there were some forgive runs in there. Positivity was just too... the race shape was against it. Even though they went fast, like the first 2 in run were the first 2 home, the race shape was against Positivity. I think Etna Rosso we can follow next start. It was well backed. It was second up. I think next start, third up on a softer track. I think if that setup happens, it's one to back wherever it runs. Third up on a softer track. Touristic I thought was not suited. It was sort of building its momentum, and then it got held up towards the 400 there, so it was another forgive run in the Victoria Gold Cup. The Mannerism Stakes was race number 6. It was taken out by Coeur Volant, and it was an effortless performance in the end. Beat them by 4 lengths. So Glamorous and Quintessa running into second and third from second last and last. Half a second inside standard time for the class. I thought the tactics on Grinzinger Bell were pretty valid considering how the track was playing in the early stages. Around the circle races, you needed to be in the first 2, and Grinzinger Bell just tried to get away from them. Grinzinger Bell was a forgive though because it pulled up with a slow recovery, rumbled again. There was some market support for this horse first up. It ended up finishing last. It pulled up lame and also had mucus, so that's just not good, is it? Quintessa, fastest last 600. So Glamorous, fastest last 400 and 200. They were just too far back, those 2 horses, and Coeur Volant was in the right spot and was able to get the win. And in the steward's report, we can see this is what happened with Rumbled again. This was a formal sort of outline of what happened with that horse, and also Grinzinger Bell. Definitely those 2 horses had excuses. There was some market support around for these horses as well that were first up. So yeah, that was the Mannerism. Coeur Volant, very impressive. Race 3, the Group 2 Autumn Classic over the 1800 metres. Taken out by Chanois. They've gone maybe a quarter of a second outside standard time. A lot of people criticising Craig Williams for his ride on the favourite Emphasize, but No one wanted to lead. He was just presented with the lead, so of course he was going to take it up. And he went at a slow enough pace to give Emphasize every chance, but the horse simply wasn't good enough. Chanois went straight past it. Scary off the week back up, fastest last 600 and 400 of the race, with Confetti Garden getting going really late. It just looks like a horse that wants the 2,000 metres plus to me. I'd love to see Emphasize again with a sit, but I think that it's sort of almost coming to the end of its preparation now. It's its 4th or 5th run in, and it's only a 3-year-old, so maybe put it away and save it for the spring. And if we look at the Stewards report, we can't see too much in there. Imperialist, Damien Lane actually fell off after the post, so that's what the Stewards report picked up, and he was deemed fit to ride for the rest of the meeting. And the last race we're going to look at is race 4, the Group 3 Zeditave Stakes over the 1,200 metres, taken out by Tropicus. They've gone a quarter of a second inside standard time here. They've come home half a second outside standard time. So Tropicus has set a good enough speed up in front throughout the middle stage of the race, and to be able to hold on shows it's a really good horse. I thought Lofty Arch was a big run. It was only first up, 4 or 5 wide around that final corner. It was peaking on the line, but it did really well to get as close as it did. Polyglot in the Godolphin Blue, once it got clear, it really started charging as well. It was a good run, and I thought Yes Lulu, the widest runner winding up, was a really good run as well. Sergeant Major, fastest last 600, 400 of the race. Polyglot, once it got clear, produced the fastest last 200 metres of the race. Lofty Arch was good. I'd love to see it second up, the improvement it's going to take. Polyglot is one I want to be following, but it's one of the, it's got a strong starting price profile, so we're not going to get much of a price about it. Yes, Lulu's the one that I want to be following. It was doing some good work late. In the Stewards report, Bar Tolf right down the bottom. There was good support for this horse late, and it put up with a slow recovery, so there's a clear excuse there. Obviously, Shadavar and Lofty Arch race wide without cover, and that's all we really need to look at from the Stewards report. It's time for another week of Samanata's lessons. We'll start with the first one. Race 1, the winner, Samangu. Mare's in form. I think it's won maybe 3 of its last 4 before yesterday, so mares in form are always something to take note of. They just seem to keep winning once they do that. Race 3, Chanois. 3-year-olds against the older horses last start, back to 3-year-old grade. So I think Chanois won a benchmark 64 last start and then took out the Autumn Classic yesterday. Last week, Sepples won a benchmark 64 and then took out the Group 3 last week, the CS Hayes. So that's a setup that works for 3-year-olds against older horses and then back to 3-year-old grade. Race 5, Class Horse first up, so that was Treasure of the Moment. And race 10, Class Horse first up, which was Denied Knowledge. So Duke de Sessa, Treasure of the Moment, and Denied Knowledge have all won. And I've tried to think what all these 3 horses have had in common, and that's that they've won at that distance before, and they've won a Group 1 last campaign. So it's going to be a bit hard to pick up over the next couple of weeks because all the good horses have come back already. But if there's a Group 1 winner assuming at a distance they've already won it before, I think we need to look at that very closely because it's already produced winners this autumn of Duke de Sessa, Treasure of the Moment, and also Deny Knowledge. And then my horses to follow, there's a few obvious ones in there like Polyglot and Headwall who clearly had no luck, but horses like Yes Lulu I thought wasn't suited by the race shape and was really good late. Also in there was Benagil, who the race shape was just against. It was first up on a big track like Flemington I want to see. And Etna Rosso, third up on a softer track, I reckon is ready to win. Well, thank you everyone for watching my review of Blue Diamond Stakes Day. Hopefully you guys learned something. Until next video, bye for now.